Vasudeva in his transcendental position created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy. So this is basically Mahavishnu. Next verse. After creating the material substance, the Lord Vasudeva expands himself and enters into it. And although he is within the material modes of nature and appears to be one of the created beings, is always fully enlightened in his transcendental position. This is Garudacharya Vishnu. And the next verse 32. The Lord as super soul pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood. And so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. This is Kshirodakshara Vishnu, the super soul. So he is just describing these three Purusha avatars. And in 33, he gives the function of the super soul. The super soul enters into the bodies of the created beings who are influenced by the modes of material nature and causes them to enjoy the effects of these modes by the subtle mind. So because of the super soul, the jivas get different bodies. And based upon those bodies, then they experience happiness and distress. And finally, in verse number 34, he is also describing about the Leela Avtaras, because that is also one of the questions of the sages, to describe the Leela Avtaras. So he is just briefly describing in this last verse. Thus, the Lord of the universe maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. So Prabhupada writes here, the Lord Vishnu incarnates himself in each and every one of them, that means each and every one of the planets and universes, and in each and every type of living society. He manifests his transcendental pastimes amongst them just to create the desire to go back to Godheads. And next paragraph. Sometimes he incarnates himself or empowers a suitable living being to act for him, but in either case the purpose is the same. The Lord wants the suffering living being to go back home, back to Godheads. And towards the end of the purport he says, such incarnations or sons of God are not making propaganda for going back to Godhead only within human society. Their work is also going on in all types of societies, amongst demigods and those other than human beings. So these are the Leela Avtaras who appear in all the planets, all the universes, all the species. So therefore Matsya, Kurma, Vara, so many species, to attract all the living entities. Thus in the Bhagavad purports of the first canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Divinity and Divine Service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So what's the question? So we perform austerities what the acharyas tell us to perform. That's all. Even that is difficult.
Guruji, it was mentioned when we are at the platform of train, then only one will be able to go to Golok Vrindavan. And it was also mentioned that it is very rare and it is Sudurlabha. So does it mean that whoever in this path is there, very very few people will be able to go to Golok Vrindavan? Like out of so many devotees who are engaged, only very few will be able to cross this.
Okay.
So what about that?
So you may be one of them.
But what about whoever is there?
Everyone has to fly his own plane. So if Krishna wants, he can take everyone. It depends on each one's performance of devotional service.
One thing more, what should be the consciousness of a Bhakti Vaibhav student who is finding this very difficult?
Simply continue.
Just to absorb it, just to absorb it, it's very difficult.
So therefore, by one reading, by one hearing is difficult to understand. So therefore, you have to go home and revise.
And more Guruji,
So when you were in school and college, how many times you read your books?
many times.
Then that time you read many times. Now you expect to understand in one time. How it is possible? And this is spiritual subject matter, which is more difficult. Okay, so there are 3-4 hands behind. Okay.
We hear that Lord kills and then he gives liberation. But does he give prema also that time?
No, the demons, you're talking about demons?
Yes.
Yes, only liberation, no prema.
So Sayuj only.
Yes.
Thank
Okay, how are the lower living entities benefited when the Lord comes in their form?
They become attracted.
So just the attraction, how
Yes, by that attraction they are bhakti begins.
Bhakti begins. So they will get a human form or will they be transferred to the Vaikuntha planets?
No, they may not be immediately transferred to Vaikuntha planet, but at least they get some sukriti, which will continue in their next life.
Correction. During the creation, Mahavishnu expands into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu to Shirodakshaya Vishnu. This is during the creation. And at the time of annihilation, the reverse process goes in the same order, like all the living entities.
No, the annihilation process is different. So of course, ultimately everyone enters into Mahavishnu.
Mahavishnu, not Garbhodakshaya.
No, they enter into Garbhodakshaya Vishnu at the end of Brahma's day. At the end of Brahma's life, they enter into Mahavishnu.
And at the end of Brahma's day, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is in the Garbha Vishnu.
Yes.
He stays there. And at the end of the Maha,
Then everything is finished.
Mahavishnu, where does he, like he's still in the Kasha ocean.
Yeah, Mahavishnu is always there.
He's always there.
Somebody else had some question?
Like in sloka number 23, it's written that one should worship Vishnu, the form of the quality of goodness. So why Bhagavatam also again, after in 28-29 sloka, Vasudev Bhakti is written, plus Vishnu.
So basically that whole section is establishing the superiority of Vishnu. Okay, so you are asking why not Krishna?
Yes.
So because in relation to the material world, Vishnu acts. Krishna has nothing to do with the material world. All activities in relation to the material world are done by Vishnu. Vishnu is the official position. So Krishna has nothing to
We
do.
say that we have to worship, we worship Krishna as.
Yes, so that is established in the 3rd chapter, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. So we'll have a discussion on that next time.
And only one question, like somebody asked, like we say Vaishnavas, why not Vaishnavas, Krishna's birth?
I don't know. What else?
Question. Like we say that till we reach the level of prem, we are not eligible to go back to Godhead. So, but then it is also said by Srila Prabhupada in the Bhagavatam also that Ante Narayan Smriti, that person is eligible to go back to Godhead. How can we understand that?
So what's there to understand? So at the end of life, who can remember Krishna? One who has prema. So remembrance of Krishna is not in our hands. So Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 13th verse 4. You can see. One can remember Krishna only by the grace of Krishna. Because remembrance of Krishna and Krishna are not different. So that remembrance only comes by His grace. So yes, even if one is not on the level of prema, if somehow Krishna is pleased because we have served a pure devotee and then Krishna wants to give his remembrance, he can give. That is his prerogative. But ultimately we are dependent on Krishna. So yes, if Especially if one has pleased a pure devotee and Krishna is pleased with that, then last minute he can give his remembrance, he can give prema and take one to the spiritual world. He can do anything. So see, all those things are not in our hands. What is in our hands is to practice bhakti now. This is what we are supposed to do. What will happen at the time of death, whether the prema will come, not come, that's all in Krishna says. Okay, one final question.
One more question is, like in the past we've seen devotees leaving their bodies, chanting the holy names and remembering the names. How do we understand? Have they entered the spiritual world? They were the prema stage.
I don't know.
How can I do?
Like as it's said by the one who remembers Lord and chants the names.
That only the Lord knows. We cannot comment on these things. But the perfection is that throughout the life they have practiced devotional, or how many years they have practiced devotional service nicely. And so we can hope and pray that yes, at the last moment they remembered Krishna, Krishna remembered them, and they went back to God. And we can hope that that happens. But ultimately, whether they actually went or not, then when you go back to the spiritual world, you find it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Radha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Lord Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I am extremely grateful to all of you for this Mahayajna that all of you have done for 4 hours today. So along with, so of course the yajna is good on Sita Navami. But so we're extremely grateful to all of you for kindly taking out your valuable time to come here and encourage us in our service by participating in this Bhakti Yoga course. Especially would like to thank His Grace Gopeshwar Guru for kindly allowing us to come here and render some service to the Vaishnavas here. So thank you all very much, and we hope that we will have your association again next time after 1 week. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Bhaktivinoda Prabhuji ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. So obviously we all are extremely grateful to His Grace Bhaktivinoda Prabhuji. We are all I think of as ignorant fool, and Prabhuji is so compassionately, he's tolerating, and even as he's done Bhakti Shastri earlier, but we've been bad students, still he's tolerating us and giving us all the enlightenment. And we're extremely fortunate to have this very prized association continuously take this course. And a few comments came that feeling despondent, feeling disturbed, feeling stressed. It's complicated, but as Prabhuji said, nothing to get worried. We're all in the learning phase. So we just keep on coming. We have, this time we have only 1 week gap, but there will be 1 month gap. So the homework for us is to go back and study. Because the idea is these are not lectures, but if I may just say. This Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Shastri courses are not lectures where everything will be explained, every word will be read. The idea is to encourage us to also study Prabhupada books. So that is why Prabhuji is giving us very wonderful insights, and the homework for us is to go back and study the books. So I'm saying for myself. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for helping us and blessing us. This is much Prabhuji ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay, attendance. Again, now the group.